First story. Once upon a cold autumn night, Mrs. Sarah Floor tucked her daughter Abigail into bed with a warm hug and "I love you" before she shooed her off to sleep. But this night was far from typical for Abigail. She was wide awake, yet too scared to go to sleep. Her parents had just told her a bedtime story, a story of a distant land, filled with creatures that could take many forms. A place where darkness could consume you in an instant and danger lurked in the shadows. It was a place that was beautiful and wild, where an endless expanse of silver-touched moonlight glittered over a world of secrets. Abigail found herself mesmerized by the story of a land oh so different than her own. Whilst Abigail had heard stories of faraway lands before, this one was different. Something inside her recognized it, even though the story felt like a dream. Abigail had to visit this place, to explore it, and maybe even find a way to defeat the darkness that lurked within it before it was too late. With determination, Abigail hopped out of bed and grabbed her coat. She had no idea how to get there, only that she had to find a way. It was then that Abigail noticed something outside her window, a large white owl perched on a tree branch. Without a second thought, Abigail opened the window and called out to the owl. "Excuse me. Do you know of a way I can reach the magical land my parents described?" The owl flew down from the branch and landed on the windowsill. He looked at her with knowing eyes and bowed his head as if to say, "Yes, I can help you." He then spread his wings, jumped off the windowsill, and flew away. Abigail followed the owl out of her bedroom and onto the street, where he stopped in the middle of the cobblestone. "Come," he said, loud and clear. Obediently, Abigail followed the owl and soon found herself in an unfamiliar place. She watched as the owl picked up a single feather, black and glossy, which seemed to transform into a door as soon as he touched it. "This is where I must leave you," the owl said. Without another word, he disappeared into the night. Abigail cautiously opened the door and found herself standing in a mesmerizing world filled with star-filled skies, glowing lanterns, and rainbow pools of water. With a deep breath, Abigail stepped forward, and soon the door disappeared from behind her. She had done it. She had reached the magical land her parents had told her about. The land was much bigger than Abigail had expected. Next story. Jack was a young lad who had troubles falling asleep at night, no matter what time he would go to bed. His folks had tried everything. From ticking clocks, aromatherapy candles, even warm glasses of freshly brewed herbal teas. But nothing seemed to work. Exhausted and fed up, Jack's parents finally decided it was time to try something new, a bedtime story. But instead of some mundane fairy tale, they would instead create their own one-of-a-kind story, one they could make completely unique to Jack. They decided to start with place and time, so Jack's mind would have a setting to explore. So, they crafted a wondrous world for him, full of wide open fields, mountains, and a never-ending sea. These areas were full of hidden secrets and magical creatures that he'd never heard of before. The green and vibrant countryside set the tone for the story, and the night sky was an incredible, ever-changing canvas of stars and galaxies. The story continued to describe the people, creatures, and animals who lived in this mysterious kingdom. In the kingdom, tamed dragons guarded the golden towers that were scattered across the land. Although dragons were usually feared in other realms, these dragons were gentle and kind. They served as protectors, watching over the towns and farms. Meanwhile, the people enjoyed spending their days sharing stories and playing games, skipping through fields of wildflowers, and listening to their favorite songs. When it came time to dine and sleep, the townsfolk had a ritual that they would all partake in when they reunited at night. They would join together around a huge bonfire where they would all throw in twigs and branches to have a spark of fire light up the night sky. With music playing, they would dance and sing, tilting their heads back to watch the stars. Finally, when it was time to sleep, they would make sure to cover their heads with the magical pillow from the royal bed. This pillow was believed to grant the deepest, most fulfilling sleep possible. On it, a stardust scene was woven with small stars and galaxies, a reminder of the beauty to be found in their world. With that, Jack's parents ended the story. As Jack closed his eyes, he was taken away in a journey through this dreamlike land, exploring the beautiful countryside, swimming alongside the sea dragons, galloping up the mountain paths, and eventually falling asleep in the arms of the magical pillow. When Jack awoke the next morning, he felt an invigorating energy that he hadn't felt in years. He finally felt the peace he had been missing while struggling to sleep. Jack had successfully discovered the perfect bedtime solution and otherworldly escape into a world that allowed him to find the calmness he needed. Next story. Once upon a bedtime, there lived a young, vibrant lady by the name of Zara. She had worked hard her whole life to amass her fortune, and her success was only outdone by her intense passion for adventure and exploration. Zara had had a hobby for a while of traveling to different, off-the-beaten-path places and exploring the unseen corners of the world. This last journey, her most ambitious, would take her to the desolate land of Cortaba, nestled away in the ice-capped peaks of a long-forgotten mountain range. Zara was one of the few who had braved the treacherous and never-fading cold of this forbidden land. A bear of a man, Zara was no stranger to the elements. She would always make sure to be snuggled up in her warmest clothing and had an almost supernatural ability to survive in the cold for days on end. Arriving at her destination late one night, Zara was tired and cold. The arduous trek had taken its toll. Noticing an unusually small cabin in the far-flung corner of the landscape, Zara felt drawn to the cabin. This was to be her bed for the night. Little did Zara know, but this cabin was far from ordinary. Inside the cabin, a small light flickered in the corner. As Zara stepped closer, a voice began to speak. It introduced itself as Marigold and said that it had been sent there to tell her a story. At first, Zara was a bit wary, but once Marigold started speaking, she fell spellbound by the tale. It was a story of a magical land hidden away deep in the mountains where giants roamed and fish sang. Zara was absolutely delighted and couldn't wait to find out more about this wonderful place. Marigold continued on, telling her of each magical creature she'd meet along the way, as she made her journey to the heart of the kingdom. As Marigold concluded the story, Zara felt moved and energized. She finally knew where she was meant to go in life. She thanked Marigold for the bedtime story, and with a wink, Marigold disappeared. With excitement and anticipation, Zara looked forward to her next journey to a place of stories and wonders just beyond the horizons. And so, with tomorrow's sunrise, the journey began. And with each adventure, a new tale awaits. Next story. Once upon a time in a faraway land where the sun never set and the moon never rose, there lived a young girl named Sabrina. She was the only child of two very humble parents and window shoppers, and was exceedingly dissatisfied with their unadventurous lifestyle. Every day Sabrina would dream about faraway places and the exciting people she would meet. Little did she know, her dream was about to come true. One night, when Sabrina was fast asleep, she heard a strange noise. There was a knocking at her window, as if someone was calling out to her. She got up to go and check, but there was no one there. All she could see was a flimsy, sapphire blue carpet hovering in the air outside. Instantly, Sabrina was overcome with an impulse to grab onto the carpet and fly away. As the rug flew higher and higher, Sabrina could feel the sun setting and the landscape shifting beneath her. Eventually, they arrived at a mysterious and captivating palace, full of intricate towers and secret passageways. And as soon as Gillian Oblique, the ruler of this beautiful land, saw Sabrina, he fell immediately in love. He invited her in, and as he told her stories of his adventures and his magnificent kingdom, Sabrina felt as if she had been transported to a different world. Finally, after a night of feasting and festivities, Gillian announced, "My gift to you, Sabrina, is that tomorrow night you must stay here with me forever." Instantly shocked, Sabrina tried to gather her things to flee, but found her every step blocked by an invisible wall. No matter how frantically she tried, she could not leave. As midnight approached and the night sky brightened, Sabrina carefully crept out of the palace walls. She began to fly away, terrified of being caught and finding her fate to be that of a lonely prisoner forever. Just then, a magical voice descended from the night sky, whispering, go back, for I have set a spell upon you. Return faithfully to the palace and be reunited with the love of your life, for I have granted you a most unusual and incomprehensible bedtime story." Startled, Sabrina flew back at once, hoping to reverse her fate. As she re-entered the palace gates, a shimmering mirage of hundreds of tiny stars clung to her skin. To her amazement, Sabrina soon realized that these stars would now light up the night sky, so those in search of an extraordinary love could find it with ease. Sabrina's bedtime story had come true. For, by morning, Gillian was so enthralled that he promised he would never let her go. The ghosts of their fears were now dismissed, and they devoted the rest of their days to sharing each other's joy and light. Next story. Once upon a midnight dreary, a not-so-typical bedtime story was heard echoing in an old and dull attic. A single light bulb hung from the corner of the room, its glow reflecting off the dust and cobwebs that cloaked the hardened walls. Within the darkness of the attic, a rather unusual creature peeked out from within a large, arched window. It was a peculiar creature with a sleek and slender body of a fox, the wings of a bat, and the horns of a ram. Its pelt was of ethereal purple, and its eyes glowed the brightest teal. Drenched in the darkness of the attic and framed by the moon's glow, the creature looked almost ghost-like, its fur and wings nearly blending with the darkness. The creature perched itself on the window frame as it peered into the night sky, taking in the starlit view. It unfolded a long, white scroll and read it aloud in a gentle and warm voice. Once upon a time, in a world of sword, sorcery, and politics, there was a humble kingdom that lay in the southern side of the continent, a kingdom ruled by the virtuous King Calden, who had a close bond with the stars. As the creature read, it carefully watched the stars in the night sky, as if they were the pages in its book. It told of King Calden's reign, where all was peaceful and equal, of the bounty of nature that surrounded the kingdom. But most importantly, it told of a prophecy that one day, a powerful force greater than any seen before shall arise, a force that could unify both the land and the stars." When the creature finished speaking, it curled up its scroll and watched as a single star shone brighter than all the rest. The creature hopped down from its perch and glided out of the attic, the night sky its only witness. Like a powerful force, the creature traveled high up into the sky, seeking a place to fulfill the prophecy. Onward it moved, closer and closer it inched towards the star hangs in the night sky until eventually, it reached its destination. After some time, the star gave way to a kingdom where all walks of life were equal, and where harmony between nature and culture was a priority. A gentle breeze passed through the kingdom, as if in union with the creature they had both found a home. As the creature watched, content and peaceful, the night sky lit up in a million stars, forming the shape of the king's crown. A new era of peace was about to begin, unbeknownst to anyone but the creature the king's prophesied champion. The creature nestled itself as the king's crown shone in its glory. Next story. Once upon a time there lived a young boy named Bobby. He was a playful and mischievous child who was never afraid to try anything new. Each night, Bobby's father would sit him down for a bedtime story. However, there was one night when his father decided to create a very unique and unusual story. "Let me tell you a story unlike any other," said his father. As Bobby listened in anticipation, his father began his tale. Once upon a time, there was an enchanted forest called the Shadow Maze. Hidden deep within the trees and shadows, you could find all sorts of magical creatures. These creatures existed among the shadows and could control the darkness. In the center of the forest, there was a mysterious labyrinth known as the Heart of Darkness. No one knew how long the labyrinth had existed, but it was believed to be so powerful that anyone who entered never came out. One day, a brave young man named Boris decided to explore the Heart of Darkness. He ventured deep into the heart of the labyrinth and found endless corridors with no end. He wandered for days, never seeing the end of the pathway. As he moved forward, the walls seemed to narrow, just as the darkness seemed to become thicker. He was surrounded by an eerie silence, and he could feel the shadows themselves watching and guiding him. He became desperate for escape, but he kept going, determined to find his way out. Eventually, Boris came across a small room surrounded by a ring of candles. In the center of the room, he found a small table, and upon it lay a strange object. It was a small, glowing box. Boris slowly walked towards the box, careful not to disturb the candles. He slowly moved his hand towards the box, and as soon as his finger touched it, a strange sensation ran through his body. When he opened the box, he found a slumbering creature inside. The creature looked like a small, winged fox with bright blue eyes. He had never seen such a creature in all of his life. This was no ordinary fox, it was an enchanted slumber fox. The fox had been asleep for centuries, and, in the time it slept, it had developed the power to make children's dreams come true. Boris knew this would be a valuable addition to his collection, so he tamely took the creature with him. Bobby sat with wide eyes as his father finished his story. It had been an amazing story, and Bobby was filled with wonder and amazement. He thought about all the magical creatures he could find in the Shadow Maze, and all the wishes the enchanted slumber fox could grant. His father then tucked Bobby into bed and said a small prayer. May you find the courage to fulfill your dreams just like Boris did.